You've seen it 100 times. A chameleon lands on a branch and shifts to brown. It moves to a green leaf and turns green. A red surface, it turns red. The perfect disguise. Nature's greatest illusionist. Except none of that is true. Scientists confirmed years ago that chameleons almost never change color to hide. Not primarily, not even usually. Their color isn't a costume, it's a language. And what they're actually saying to each other, in colors you can't see, through signals you didn't know existed, is one of the strangest stories in all of reptile science. Part 1. The machine inside the skin.
Before we talk about what chameleons are saying, we need to understand how they're saying it, because the mechanism is unlike anything else in nature. A chameleon's skin doesn't contain paint, it contains physics. Inside the outermost layer of their skin sit specialized cells called iridophores, and inside those cells are nanocrystals, crystals so small that hundreds of thousands of them could fit across a single human hair. They aren't scattered randomly. They're arranged in a precise lattice, like a microscopic grid built from guanine, the same molecule found in every strand of DNA on Earth. When the chameleon is calm, those crystals pack closely together. Light hits them, only short wavelengths bounce back. Blues, greens, the quiet colors of a resting animal. But the moment something changes, a rival appears, a mate approaches, the animal's emotional state shifts. The crystals move, the grid expands, and now longer wavelengths reflect back instead. Yellows, oranges, burning reds. Not because the chameleon chose a color, because its emotional state physically reorganized the molecular structure of its own skin. And researchers at the University of Geneva discovered something even more remarkable. Chameleons don't have one layer of these cells. They have two, stacked directly on top of each other. The top layer handles communication. The deeper layer contains larger, less organized crystals with a completely different purpose. They reflect infrared light, functioning as an invisible thermal shield that helps the animal manage the sun's heat without ever needing to move. One animal, two optical systems, running simultaneously for entirely different reasons.
Part 2. The real reason they change. Here is where the story changes. Scientists spent years studying 21 species of dwarf chameleons, comparing color changeability against every possible explanation. Did species with stronger color change live in more varied environments, where they needed more camouflage options? No. Did they live in more dangerous territories, needing better disguise from predators? No. The only thing that predicted a species' color change power was this: how intensely they competed for mates and status. The more dramatic the social life, the more dramatic the colors. Color change didn't evolve to hide chameleons from predators. It evolved to show other chameleons exactly who they were dealing with. Watch what happens when two males meet. The dominant male blazes into vivid yellows and electric blues. Every nanocrystal in his skin shifts to maximum expansion. He is broadcasting one message: I am confident. I am larger. Do not challenge me. If the rival backs down, his colors collapse immediately. Browns, olives, dull greens, not because he is hiding, because he is communicating surrender in the clearest signal his species understands. If the rival holds, both animals intensify. The confrontation becomes a battle of light before it ever becomes a battle of bodies. Females speak this language too. A female who is not interested in a courting male turns to a specific contrasting pattern, unmistakable, immediate, impossible to misread. Stop. A female who is receptive shifts to softer tones that allow the courtship to continue. She isn't passive, she is responding in exactly the same language. Their baseline coloration, the color they carry when nothing is happening, already blends with their environment. Evolution gave them that for free. The active color change, the shift that has fascinated humans for centuries, that is almost never about hiding. That is almost always about speaking. Part 3. The signal you cannot see. But the story doesn't end there. In 2018, scientists made a discovery that changed everything we thought we understood about chameleon communication. They shone ultraviolet light on chameleons in the dark, and the animals lit up, a glowing electric blue traced along the ridges and bumps of their skulls. Vivid, intricate patterns that looked almost like circuitry beneath the skin. Researchers studied 160 specimens across 31 species. The glow was everywhere. This wasn't their color-changing skin. This was their bones. The bony ridges on a chameleon's skull press up against the skin from the inside, making those areas so thin they become nearly transparent, tiny windows in the flesh. Ultraviolet light passes through those windows, strikes the bone underneath, and converts into visible blue light that shines back out through the skin. Males have significantly more of these glowing ridges than females. Every species carries a different pattern. And because chameleons can see ultraviolet light and we cannot, they are exchanging signals in a frequency we never knew existed. The researchers called it private communication, messages sent only to other chameleons in a spectrum invisible to every other eye in the forest. Think about what that means. We spent centuries watching these animals. We called them masters of disguise. We made them the symbol of deception and camouflage. And the entire time, they were conducting conversations we couldn't hear, in colors we couldn't see, for reasons that had nothing to do with hiding from us.
Part 4. The Last Message. There is one final discovery, the strangest one. Researchers in Madagascar filmed a dying female chameleon during her final hours using time-lapse photography. As her body failed, her skin erupted into colors no living chameleon had ever displayed. Patterns spread and shifted across her body rapidly, chaotic, unfamiliar, impossible to classify. Not camouflage, not a social signal, not thermoregulation. The researchers had no scientific explanation for it. One described it as if she were uttering her last words. A final, involuntary burst from a system that had spent its entire life communicating in light. What that display meant, whether it meant anything at all, no one knows. But it raises a question that science has not yet answered. If a chameleon's colors are its language, and its final act is an explosion of unknown color, what was it trying to say? The chameleon you thought you knew was a reflection. The real animal is stranger, more complex, and more communicative than anything the myth ever gave it credit for. It speaks in physics. It broadcasts in infrared. It sends private signals through its own bones in a spectrum of light human eyes cannot reach. And somewhere in a Madagascar rainforest right now, two chameleons are having a conversation that no human has ever fully understood. If this changed the way you see reptiles, subscribe to Scale Whisper. Every video on this channel reveals something about these animals that most people never knew existed. The next one might be the most surprising yet.